easy. You know, one thing I like about, sometimes I get email from Flutterwave saying there's going to be something on Wednesday, different kind of, you know, I'm just thinking these guys are quite interesting. They engage you and trying to draw you into different conversations just to keep you going. So,
Yeah, that's what we want to do. That's the plan.
fantastic.
We want to keep you
Fantastic.
engaged. We want to keep you informed and educated and up to date in terms of what is going on. And I think that's the core objectives with the way we relate with our clients is
Yeah,
making sure that they are in the know every time. They know what is going on every step of the way, and they are
yeah,
constantly engaged.
fantastic. Well, have you coped with the COVID? Tell me, are you okay? Did you survive the lockdown? And
Um, Yeah, to be honest with you, right? Like, I had to go cut my hair today because when I heard that I'm going to be with OgaRisk on Instagram Live, I'm like, oh God, I need to at least take advantage of an haircut. Since
exactly.
the lockdown in February, I hadn't touched my hair, so I was looking all like someone
Wow.
from Robinson Crusoe.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you. It's good to see you this evening.
Same here,
And
same here.
where do we start? Just tell me a bit about yourself, or should I start about myself first?
Whichever way you want to take it, to be honest.
Like
you can go
that.
first. You can go first.
I
So
mean,
I can take a
tell me a
cue
bit
from
about
you.
yourself quickly, and I'll go for it. Yes.
All right, okay, that's fine as well. So my name is Mo, which is short form for Mobolaji.
Okay.
Born and bred in Nigeria, but been abroad for right over 10 years now.
Okay.
Doing all sort of stuff while I was here. I came to the UK actually to do my master's degree in the
Okay.
University of Bristol, and from there, since I graduated, I've been doing all sort of things. I established my banking career about 10 years ago, starting off with Deutsche Bank in New York.
Okay.
I then moved to JP Morgan in London, where I spent about 8 to 9 years in various risk and compliance roles.
Okay.
And last year I joined Flutterwave, um, and it's been very, very interesting. It's been very rewarding as well. And
Fantastic.
my role in Flutterwave is Chief Compliance Officer,
Okay.
which means I am responsible for helping to scale the compliance program and ensuring that Flutterwave meets all of its regulatory obligations in all its operating jurisdictions, and
Yeah.
also ensuring that our risk is properly managed, and first of all, understanding our inherent risk, putting in place the appropriate controls to minimize our residual risk
Okay.
within our risk appetite.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing for the past for the period when I've been in Flutterwave.
Fantastic. It sounds as if you're also responsible for risk function in addition to compliance
Correct.
as well.
Yes, definitely. So what we did is we sort of lumped it together.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of working in fintech. So under the compliance chief compliance office umbrella, we've got risk, we've got compliance, and then we've got data privacy controls as well. So it's sort of
Fantastic.
like, yeah, brought together. They do work together. They
Okay.
do work well together and have very good hands off. So it does make sense for them to be together anyway.
Fantastic. I think we have a common interest in that compliance and risk, definitely. Just a bit about myself. My name is Joachim Adenusi. In fact, my middle name is Joachim Adebayo Adenusi.
Wow.
Full-blooded Nigerian, very proud to be Nigerian. But at the same time, I have my other half heritage as well, which is British. But I train as an actuary, so number crunching is what I've done for the how many years of my life, and then specialize in strategy and risk. And currently just finishing off my long overdue PhD, which I've been writing for a
Oh,
while now in college. So, and I'm writing a theory on risk and leadership as well. So,
oh wow.
um, hence you see why people call me Ogarify. It's a title I have to accept because for a long time I ran away from it, but I've come to embrace the idea of Ogarisk, not because I know everything, but I'm
I
passionate about
like
the
it.
subject and I help a lot of people to understand what risk is about, and which is what we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
So also
I,
we
I,
have,
I do
Sorry.
like the name, by the way.
Oh, thank
OgaRisk.
you very
It
much.
was, yeah, I like it.
I can, you can,
It's
you can borrow it, and use it as well.
no, I'm going to leave it to you because
You leave it
sometimes
to
that
me.
kind of title, yeah, it should be left for one person, and and then we can all fit to you, if you know what I mean.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So, and about Conrad Clark, Conrad Clark is one of the leading voices in risk management in Nigeria. And when we use the word risk management, people that term can be a bit ambiguous sometimes. And we just describe ourselves that we exist to make sure that you succeed, whatever you want to do. That's our objective. So when we partner with any organization, we exist just to make sure you succeed by helping them to look at the things that could go wrong and the things also that could go very, very right. Because often people think risk is about things going wrong, but I don't want to get too much. So let's start, but let me ask you a few questions and then we get on to it. And I'm sure you and I will have a lot to do together, working together, because we're
Yeah, looking
we're
forward to
keen
it.
to support the fintech, and what you guys are doing is quite innovative. So we at Conrad Clark
Absolutely.
also, we're at the forefront of innovation. So we want to partner with you. So working with a team of young and entrepreneurial team in Flutterwave as a risk compliance head, will definitely be different from your experience in JP Morgan or Chase. I mean, what are the major differences in culture, and especially now, I guess you're not only in Nigeria, you're looking at African countries, different places. What are the differences in culture have you experienced, and what do you think?
Well, before I start, let me just say, you can for our audience, tell me a little bit about Flutterwave. For those that don't know who Flutterwave is. So Flutterwave is a payment solution company. Just like you, we work with clients, customers, merchants, to help them, accept payments globally, and we make it easy for them to do business, and operate their business, anywhere, and ensuring that they're able to accept payments and providing a seamless experience when it comes to payments. And that is what we do. We are highly customer focused, and we work very closely with our customers, to ensure that they're able to achieve the objective, um, you know, through solutioning, which is very key for us. And we are dedicated to this. We operate in multiple jurisdictions as well, and we do help and we do support, both large businesses and small and medium scale businesses.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a little bit about Flutterwave, and that sort of drives into the culture of Flutterwave, which is
Okay.
around being customer focused. What we call it actually is customer obsession. We are obsessed with customers, and we do want to see them excel because we know that if they excel, we also do excel. Um,
Fantastic.
you know, Obviously from a risk perspective, right, and also coming from a firm that is over 200 years old to a firm
Yeah.
that is 4 years old,
Mm.
the structure, the infrastructure that is available is different. So, when it comes to risk and compliance, the foundation is different. The resources and the tools you have are different. So, and so from a cultural perspective, from a JP Morgan perspective, you have a more matured risk and compliance culture and conduct.
Okay.
Now, yeah, so we know which is one of the key sort of like the key difference. And as you know, right, the culture and conduct also underpins, the decision making within the organization.
Of
That
course.
said, from a floral perspective, the beauty of Floral Wave now, and it's one of the reasons that I've come in as well, is to help build this foundation, this sound and strong foundation of risk and compliance, both from a culture, practice, and conduct perspective. And that is what we are building. It's always been there. Now we are enriching it. We are solidifying the foundation, and we're also building on top of it to make sure that our risk management and compliance program is sound, and we are meeting all our obligations and reducing, applying appropriate controls, right, to reduce, what we call from a technical term our residual risk,
Okay.
and also managing our risk appetite. So, and one of the beauties of, and I know, talking a lot about Flutterwave in terms from a risk perspective is, one of the good things about Flutterwave, and it also differs from what you have, in a massive firm is because when the product was being built, it was built with risk at the back of the minds of
Okay.
the founders.
Okay.
So you find that there's a lot of risk solutions, layered on top of the infrastructure that Flutterwave is built on, which is, in a current environment, in a fintech environment, that is absolutely fantastic. And it does help, risk managers like us to be able to, perform better in terms of helping to manage our risk and meet our obligations, in the markets or jurisdictions that we operate in.
Okay. I mean, that's great. I mean, I think the thing that is interesting to me is the idea of that conduct, compliance, and culture. If you look at those three
Yeah.
C's, I mean, looking at different terrain, different contexts, working within the Nigerian context, what has been your experience of the conduct, compliance, and culture? I just want to zoom into
Uh,
that culture a bit more.
yeah,
Sorry that.
I knew you were going to say that as soon as I went into culture and conduct. And to be honest, culture
Yeah,
and conduct is something that I have been looking at, for a while now,
yeah,
both from a JP Morgan perspective and so from a bigger organization to a smaller organization.
yeah,
And one of the things that you find, just to digress a little bit from your question, and I'll go to your question. One of the things that you find is actually is that in a lot of the times it's actually the same, right? Because and it goes back to the original objective of a company, which is profit making, right? And
yeah,
that does drive business decisions, board, the corporate governance structure, and as such, you find out that the culture and conduct at the true heart of it, from a big organization to a small organization, sometimes it's pretty much similar at the core of it. And so and all of them as well. I think a lot of the difference is driven by the jurisdiction, the geographical risk and the likes, and the regulators operating within those jurisdictions. But from working in Nigeria, I think it's been fantastic as well as in terms of understanding the attitude towards risk. And especially now in the current day and age, um, I think because of the focus as well, and because of the influx of funds and capital into the economy, I think there's been a change in the perception of risk,
okay,
because I think as we seek capital from the global economy, there tends to be a synergy,
yeah,
and as that synergy exists, as those skills, that funds flow,
yeah,
the risk appetite will also flow as well. The risk management culture will also flow as well. And
yeah,
from what I can see, is helping to develop, from a country perspective, the risk and compliance framework within the economy. So when we're looking at from a compliance perspective, when you look at some of the work that FATF is doing with Nigeria with the mutual evaluations,
yeah,
and the other organizations out there, or in like the Egmont Group and Co, you see the appetite to actually be on the right side or meet all of the recommendations of FATF, as well as meet all of the prescriptions and all of the advice of what an Egmont Group is saying,
So,
what an Group is wants us
so,
to do.
so pretty much, not to cut you short,
Yeah,
the influence of the international, the funds, the capital ventures, and all those really helping also to shape the culture and to get a lot of people to start complying because shareholders will not want to lose their money. And I think
correct.
that is the key message. Fantastic. You talk about COVID. You said what's going on. Let's look at COVID quickly. COVID came with a lot of threats, surprises, and to a lot of people, especially. But for fintech, I think this is a good time for you guys. I mean, you're like the new oil, just pumping oil. The money is just flowing. There's a high level of opportunity as more businesses are now going online and will need your services more. I mean, definitely, I'm sure you'll have seen that. How with this influx of new businesses and lots of people taking on, how is risk management, supporting the team on taking on more opportunities?
Yeah, I think so. One of the first things the risk management unit was able to do was to help with the business resiliency planning. So
Yeah.
and that meant that before Nigeria or the Nigerian government actually announced the lockdown, and told everyone, not to go out and put all the curfews in place and so on. We've already pulled our staffs, and a lot of them were already working from home. We'd already put in the infrastructures and the tools and the policies in place to help people cope within a crisis scenario. So
Yeah.
for us, it was very easy transition into that opportunity, such that even before the government prescribed it, we had already started operating in that
Makes
environment.
sense.
So when it happened, it was okay. This is already our new normal. We've already fit into that culture, and we're able to provide support to our customers as well,
Okay.
without any hiccups at all. That also helped to build the foundation in terms of tapping into the opportunity that comes or that came with COVID. So one of the things that we did as a firm was to launch Flutterwave stores. And this was targeted towards our SMEs, to help
Okay.
them even within the lockdown to be able to transition, from a physical store into an online store. And we provided them all of the tools and opportunities that they needed, in order to be successful with running an online business. So we provided them shipping opportunities, and we also give them, plugins to be able to accept payments globally online. So that really helped,
Okay.
and we saw a really massive uptick as well in that product, which is currently live today, and a lot of the SMEs are enjoying using it.
I mean, you guys, that's amazing. I'm just wondering, why didn't you guys enter for the Nigerian Risk Awards then? Because I mean, this is the kind of thing we exist to celebrate. Because what we find is that there are lots of people doing great stuff, but the stories, they're not out there, and people are not aware of
Mm.
what's going on. So I think I'm going to tell my guys to see if we can do a case study on you guys on the 17th of September. If you guys want to showcase this thing you're doing, I would like to see where we can tell the world what you're doing.
Ab-
You're doing something
Absolutely,
fantastic.
I think that'd be fantastic. I think we just had our head down, for too long,
Guy, you can't do that.
building that foundation.
No, no, no. People need to hear what's going on, because
Yeah, yeah,
I think when people, because there's something about, when there's a quote I remember, someone said, when you allow your light to shine, you give other people permission also to shine.
yeah.
And for a long time, there are lots of people shining great lights, but if people can't see it, they cannot even see what's possible. So, and that leads to the next question, which is a bit interesting, that you mentioned about your business continuity plan and your disaster recovery and how you supported the small businesses. But if there was a complete, because we're depending on this payment platform now, and a lot of people are now
Yes,
using it for transactions. In fact, I think we had the highest record of online transaction in Nigeria during the lockdown in the
correct.
history of Nigeria.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
the highest, I mean, I think the record went through the roof. So talking about risk, if there was a complete internet or network shutdown, how can businesses continue to use Flutterwave? What
Well,
would
we
they
should
do?
just pray.
What are the options? What options are available for them?
First and first, we pray that the internet should not shut down.
Well,
Because
I agree with you. I mean, but as you know, we're risk professionals, so we need to be thinking about this scenario. So
yeah,
so
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and it's one of the things we think about. And not to go technical, it forms part of our risk assessment, which is our business is highly internet dependent. What if somebody
yeah,
somewhere switches off the plug?
yeah,
So one of the things we've been able to do as a firm, right? And as part of building our product suite and partnerships out there, is we've been able to create, channels for offline payment, right? To keep our store merchants or our core merchants, online. And also what we've also been able to do is, because we highly rely on our merchants or our agents to be able to be connected,
Yeah.
which, like I said, it's if anything happens, it's a risk. So one of the things we've been able to do is to create a channel for offline payment. So, for instance, if you want to pay for a good or commodity, you can pay through your bank by walking into your bank branch, or pay through an agent, as an example. And that's one of the when I do my risk assessment, that's one of the controls that we've put in place in case.
I'm commending you. Well done, guys. Well done. And I wonder. I mean, this is a good thing. I wonder what's gonna happen. Other fintech. I hope they're hearing to go and learn this. There's some good lessons to learn here. I mean, I'm quite well done. That's commendable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not to go too technical, for our audience. I mean,
Good.
we've just sort of, prepared. We've looked at our risk, and looked and developed products that has enabled us to be able to that will enable us to continue to operate if the internet goes down. And that as such is, also supporting offline payments and helping to facilitate offline payments, and leveraging all the partnerships we've got to be able to achieve that.
Fantastic. I mean, I think that's quite commendable. As I said, I don't see a reason why we cannot look at some of these, your case study, and I'm going to make sure you are at the Nigerian Risk Leadership Summit, 17th of September.
Absolutely.
And that's really amazing, because people be thinking about these things that, with our erratic power supply, erratic network, so I should be able to still continue. And that assurance for small business is great as well. So thank you for providing that. What advice will you give businesses who are having difficulties comply with many regulatory requirements, especially in our kind of environment, Nigeria and Africa? There's so many regulatory requirements. I mean, for you as a compliance expert, as we in this area, what advice do you give small businesses working with you guys?
Yeah, and I think to be fair to small businesses as well, I think even big businesses have challenges with navigating the multiple compliance jurisdictions that we have in Africa. When I talk to some of my colleagues who across Africa, working in even bigger firms, or firms that have been around for a long time, it's still always a challenge that they face in terms of navigating that compliance environment, because for every country you go to in Africa, the rules are different, or the regulation is different. And I think one of the first things, when I talk to folks or clients, who have very small business, and have to deal with regulatory obligations, is first of all understanding your own business. Know your business back to front, what services you are offering, and what services you want to offer. Sort of like understanding. I don't want to go technical, but sort of like understanding your inherent risk, right? By understanding your business, understanding the jurisdiction you're operating in, and then also understanding the laws that apply to you. I think one thing to be fair as well is, regulators are not there to, it's not a trap, right? Regulations are not trap, or compliance regulations are not, they're not traps. They're there for a reason. They're there to help you facilitate business. So, a lot of the time, there's a lot of, if you look online, or, approach someone like yourself, you can always help people to navigate those sort of, landscape as well. So just to bring it together is, one, understanding your business, understand the jurisdiction that you work in, and do a lot of research to understand what regulatory obligations apply to you. Make sure you document all of them, and begin to tick off one after the other how you would meet those obligations. Whether if they are seasonal obligations or on-off obligations, begin to tick them and put controls in place to in terms of how you will meet those obligations. And also is talking to people, partnering with people, attending seminars and sessions like Conrad Clard do put together. They do help you to navigate some of those regulatory landscapes.
I think we have a lot to do together with Flutterwave, because we are passionate about small businesses, and you're also spot on. Regulators are there to help, but a a lot of people don't understand. And also, I wish we get to a place where we engage the regulators. And let's zoom a bit into other fintechs generally in this fintech space, which is going to be the new normal because we are all online now. If I was to ask you, I'm putting you in a leadership position now, and perhaps there are other people in fintech watching this or that will catch up with this video. What are the top 4 biggest risks that fintech companies should manage? Let's say top 4, top 5.
Well, I think it
There
does
might be
depend
so
on.
many. There might be so many. I'm looking
Yeah, I
at
don't
the
even know.
top generic.
Yeah, so I think first of all, it depends on the nature of the fintech that's being operated, right, or the core of your business in the fintech environment.
Yeah.
And I think the first so the way I look at it sometimes is first is when it comes to risk and compliance is compliance, right? You want to comply with your regulator, so you want to manage your regulatory
You
risk.
comply first.
You comply first, right? Once you comply, then you begin to think about, okay, what are the other risks that could come about that could impact my business? Because like I say, right, one of the things I say to people is, risk is an opportunity. Is identifying it and then, applying the appropriate controls or, put it together to be an opportunity. So I think one of the biggest risks, that is in Africa, I think that fintech space is regulatory risk, which is basically, as you know, and I talked to some of our clients, is the regulatory landscape is quite complex, which can make it quite difficult to navigate. And as such, if you cannot navigate it, then you are at risk of, breaching one regulation or the other if there's no clarity. The other risk is financial risk, especially at this time.
Yeah.
Where, there's a little bit of instability with, with all of the, with COVID-19 being there, there's been a lot of, firms that we've seen that has gone bankrupt because they couldn't keep up with the changing environment. So I think the financial risk is there, which also includes how you protect your investors' fund, so that your company will continue to become, or your company is a going concern. And you protect the firm so that it continues to survive. So there's, I think the second is financial risk. Also, I'm sort of tailoring now to the environment we are now. And the other risk is, is business resilience, and and ensuring that you you manage your business so that if there's a COVID, you are very quickly able to pivot and very quickly able to adapt to change
Or anything, or political crisis, or riot, or any incident, anything at all.
Anything can happen. I mean, nobody thought that we'll be in a scenario like this. I remember back in when I was in JP Morgan, we used to have a lot of business resiliency tests, and everybody just thought, what are these people doing? Preparing for something that will never happen. Like, and then here we are.
1 in 100 years event, and now we hit one of them.
Correct. And you can see globally, how much COVID-19 has impacted businesses, jobs, livelihood, opportunities, and businesses are going under. So, but if you've just taken that, time to plan appropriately for this sort of scenarios, you will not, you find yourself, excelling and preparing, and ready. I've seen firms whereby, people couldn't go into work and they had no way of, communicating or even connecting online with their staff. So, a lot of disastrous examples. So I think that's another key risk. I think the other risk at the moment, right, it's also linked. I know I'm linking it a lot, at the forefront now, there's a lot of risk towards, the business environment. So, another key risk is a credit risk, credit and liquidity risk, because of the current environment that we are in, right? It's also ensuring that you manage those risks appropriately, so that, you don't find yourself in a bankrupt scenario or bankruptcy scenario. So I mean, those are the key risks, and then I guess the other key risk that is that a lot of fintechs are exposed to is operational risk. because a lot of fintechs are new, you don't have the appropriate procedures, policies, controls in place in order to manage operational risk, and that leads to quite a lot of exposure. And a lot of times it's usually underlooked,
Yeah.
but the sort of risk that could, accrue, or sort of exposure that you could be, that you could run into, that you could be, that you could be exposed to, can be also grave, as well. So I think that's another key risk that a lot of fintechs are exposed to, and that's just because of the age that they are in
Yeah.
within, within the risk management cycle, where you don't have your risk and policies embedded into your day-to-day program.
Fantastic. I'm going to take you in a conversation that we're going to try and avoid talk about risk, but it's risk related. It's about leadership and followership, the quality of leadership. One of the things I enjoy doing sometimes is just see if I can discuss with professionals without using their jargon. So now working from home or remote working is going to be a big thing going forward. How do you see this influencing the commitment of 21st century worker, or how do you think will transform the workplace environment going forward in the future, and perhaps the risk landscape also? Because now that we're all going to be working from different places, what are the opportunities? What are the threats between leadership and follow-up?
Yeah, to be honest, I think, I think it does for me, and I'll give an example. So I'm currently based in London. So before the lockdown, I had staff working on ground in Nigeria or across Africa. And for me, my daily life was being remote because I wasn't working with anyone. Everyone was on ground. So I had to adapt. Coming from a place where I'd go to work every day, I see people that I work with every day. The relationship is face to face. So I had to adapt, and I also had to change my leadership style. Which meant that I had to trust people more, and I had to also, which means that you can't micromanage, or which we shouldn't anyway. And also it also influenced how you make decisions in terms of your recruitment as well, ensuring that people you recruit are people you can trust, that can take and had those leadership qualities, right? And also, the way I look at leadership as well, is not about having a team or leading a million set of people. It's about how you do your daily task. It's about how you deliver on your daily objectives. Is when you see something wrong, how do you escalate to make sure that that issue is resolved? Or when you see a risk, how do you escalate to make sure that the appropriate controls is in place, and following it through to ensure that the appropriate risk is in place and those risks are tested. So it's one of the ways that the current situation of work from home has also changed, because now, from my view, and like I also tell my the folks that I work with, is everybody is now a leader. Where you would have somebody that will sit over your shoulder to help you do stuff, in your own right, or a leader, you should take ownership of the responsibilities that you've got.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but so I think this has been a long time coming. But what I personally never saw was that it would be a crisis that will lead us to that will push us into this. Yes, that will push us into this landscape. Because even when I was in JP Morgan, and I know that even firms across the UK, as an example, is there's been a lot of pushback. So there's been a lot of loggerhead at people of the newer generation versus the old generation, whereby you see the old generation, they don't really want to work. They don't want people working from home because they believe they're not working because they're working from home. Versus people that that believe, well, yeah, like this is 21st century, you should be able to work from anywhere and be flexible.
Fantastic.
So I think that's just helped to steep that scale and help you realize new ways of doing things.
I want to zoom into that conversation, and I'm looking at Nigeria, and this might perhaps be, not to take you your time, last question, and then we'll just gist. There are lots of people who are doing so many things, and now that this ability to work, using even Flutterwave as an example, as a platform for small businesses, for guys out there with ideas and SMEs and who are trying to do something, how can Flutterwave help SMEs in Nigeria,
Yeah.
and how can that platform be a kind of a tool to minimize even money transaction risk for them? Where somebody has an idea, they can walk everywhere and they can get transaction going.
Yeah,
What are you
absolutely.
going to tell these guys?
Yeah, so I mean,
Kind of
so this is
leadership
something that,
relationship, yes.
yeah, no, and absolutely, this is something that I was going to allude to, right? That Flutterwave has been working on in terms of the old generation, the new generation, and how we do things. So one of
Yeah.
the things that Flutterwave has been doing, from way back is encouraging young folks, right, young developers, and sponsoring a lot of developer events in order to encourage young lads, right? The new generation who don't really want to sit down in the office and do the normal 9 to 5. It's
Yeah.
giving them the opportunities, to connect SMEs or to create sort of creating opportunities for them to generate revenue, and also helping them to help others as well, by connecting them with SMEs, in terms of developing online platforms and the likes. And this is also one of the things that formed the foundation of Flutterwave stores as well, whereby we've been able to, create, opportunities for anyone, right? So, and Flutterwave store is so simple, right? Which is, you don't need a website, you don't need a developer. It's simple plug and play. You just list your commodities and you are good to go. We've even seen uptick from customers, bigger customers, and not even SMEs, trying to leverage the platform, right? Because of how easy it is to use and how simple it is to use. So basically, you've got people just out there, irrespective of what you are doing, you are immediately connected to your end users as well within a platform. Of course, we do spend a lot of time, picking out businesses that will help that will market for, that will promote, So basically, and this is global, right? So we're continually and consistently connecting these SMEs to the global market,
That's
and that's gradually generating waves. In the first few weeks of launching, we had over 5,000, people sign up, list goods, so which was fabulous. And we're not stopping there. We continue to improve our product,
okay.
and we continue to engage folks as well, in terms of using it to keep the lights on, right? Because if you remember when COVID came, there was a lot of, oh gosh, what am I going to do now? I can't open my store, but it gave
Yeah.
people a way out, and an immune to continue to do business, to continue to provide for their families, to continue to provide, pay taxes, keep revenue up, because it's a chain, right? It is.
Yeah, it is.
If yeah, exactly. If you can continue to sell, continue to make money, make revenue,
Yeah.
you'll be able to pay more taxes. The government will be able to provide more infrastructures and more facilities for people as well. So it's a cycle, and we're very happy to be part of that chain. We're very happy to be pushing SMEs from being SMEs to being larger and bigger businesses, because by connecting them to the world and the world to them as well.
Mobolaji, we have to do another one. I think we have to have a Twitter chat as well. I don't want to keep your time. This has been amazing, and
No,
it's
absolutely.
been amazing. Thank you for the insight. And from a risk lens, in terms of what we do, we plug risk to performance, to people, to their objective, to their vision. If I even to individual plan, to family plan, whatever you want to do, want to make sure that one, we can protect you. Two, you can take advantage of opportunities. We want you to be able to survive. And
Yeah.
that's been the conversation we'll be having so far. Your insight has been amazing. I want to commend Flutterwave. We're one
Thank
of
you
your
very much.
customers, so there's a
Oh
lot.
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was
Yes,
gonna ask you, do you
we,
follow with?
we,
Um,
we are we actually new. So again, we are excited about what we've heard as well. So, and
yeah,
even for the event we're
that's
using,
exciting.
this event we're having on the 17th, we're actually piloting with Flutterwave as a payment platform for it.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
hence
I'm
why
very happy to hear that.
hence why I said there's a lot for you to do together, because we feel these guys are doing something great, and
Yeah.
they're kind of like us. So thank you very
No,
much on behalf of my team, the board. I want to say thank you for your time. I think you and I will have a lot to do. Do another chat again, regards to the
yes, looking
family,
forward to it. Yes.
and have a good
Thank you so
evening.
much.